afternoon all. So here we go, some more Dust playing. What I was going to do for the first 4.5 minutes of this video is talk about the market. A few people have asked me a few things now in terms of what's a good fit, what should I buy. Let's go through that. So as you can see here, I'm actually using Orium. I got Orium obviously from the Merc pack, and I did actually just buy some more. I know I'm a shameless whore when it comes to marketing campaigns, but the reason behind it is I think because of the fits that I want to use, I think that's why I can justify Orium or Arium or whatever you want to call it, or Arum, whatever. I don't know. You call it what you like. The gold stuff. The gold stuff to me is not a bad purchase for some of these basic items, as you see here, because a lot of the basics of what you're going to end up buying for Orium, I think, is actually not too bad a purchase. But let me explain. So with things like the equipment BPOs, I'll call them BPOs, that's really the permanent instance of them, because I use them on every single fit now, along with the grenades. I kind of think to myself, well, I'd rather just put them as an Orium blueprint, because every time I die a lot, let's face it. So, but I'm not going to buy the weapons, I'm not going to buy the modules, because that's kind of, that's just the way it is. I think with what I'm trying to do with my fits now, as I start to theory craft and really get super serious about this, is there's particular fits that I want to try and do now. So let me explain one of them. One of them is logistics suit, which is the it's basically a Mimitar logistics suit which has 3 utility slots. So you could basically drop a spawn pad, you could drop a nano forge, and then a repair gun, or a medi pen, or a nanite injector. So to me, that's kind of how I want to roll, because certainly when I'm looking at some of the gameplay I do when I'm solo is sniping. So instead of just using the assault suit, I quite like the idea of actually being able to drop a spawn pad, then an ammo forge, and then basically snipe. And when I get counter sniped, I can just immediately spawn back to that location. And I'll show you what I mean in just some footage later on, because there's some quite clever tactics you can use with some of the equipment. So I think everybody that I see generally, probably 90% of all the players are sticking with the assault suit, which is perfectly fine, but I think you need to look what the other suits do, because certainly the scout suits are phenomenally powerful in terms of run and gun. I think the heavy suits are obviously needed for the heavy guns, and logistics suits to me are actually quite interesting. So as you can see here, that's the logistics suit that I really want to get. I'm only getting it just because I am going to use an awful lot of it, and to be honest with you, I'm going to lose it a lot. So I know it's quite a bit of Orium, and I know probably this is where we say, oh, pay to win and all that, but I know a lot of people who've bought the Raven assault type suit, and I also know a lot of people who've bought the heavy suit as well. So this is how the game will be funded. It's free, but you have microtransactions, and maybe we should have a debate about microtransactions. I actually don't have any problem with them. I think PlanetSide 2 works perfectly well with them. They're not an I-win, but they are. I think they're a slight advantage. So I can see why people get very emo about them, but I can also see why people do it. At the end of the day, if you don't pay a penny to play this game, you have to accept the fact that this game will exist because there are people who will. So, don't be too harsh on those people, I guess. Okay, so here we go. This is jumped in now to one of the maps, and this to me was a new map, but it could be that maybe my perspective is completely ballsed up, but to me this was an absolute blast, and this is all sniper footage, I am afraid, and really I was just in the mood to snipe. And what it is I actually have no skill points in my sniper slot, so I'm using the crappy sniper rifles. But this is something I really want to kind of skill up, because what I found so far is that a good sniper, it really is an area denial character, because as you'll see in this bit here, the fight is happening around the gate there. So you see the gate in front of us, that you're just to the right there, down right. That's where the fight is happening for pretty much most of this map, and it's mainly because we've been pushed back. We're not particularly I guess, assaulty. So we're just kind of hanging back, waiting to, well, I guess, harvest kills. And to be honest, that's pretty much the way the map goes. And this is why I think sniping from this elevated position was absolutely glorious. Now, what I'm probably going to do is I'll probably do a catalogue, I'll do a video catalogue of all the various maps, because I think there's certain sort of vantage points that maybe not everyone knows about. And I think, you know, I guess I'm going to annoy some people by actually showing some of the sneaky super sniper points, some of the clever locations to drop spawn pads, etc. So I will do that, because I think at the end of the day it makes the game more fun if everyone knows what's going on. So I'll do a video of that maybe later. But for this map particular, this is spawn point E, and there's an elevated pit you have to get up the ladder to go and do. And to be honest with you, it's just unbelievably powerful. I mean, again, I don't think any of their side was sniping, so we must have had the 4 or 5 snipers on our team, and they had none. And to be honest, they were feeling the effects of this, because already you can see their clone numbers are dropping pretty hard. So, you know, this was, I think there was a pretty panicked mass battle going on. But I noticed something while sniping, which is generally your snipers will get armor hits. So if they hit someone, they'll actually take the armor down on someone. And what that then means is that when they run into a 1v1 situation, they're going to die. Generally, rules of average means they're going to die. And I think I found that pretty much most of this morning was, you know, there is an incredible, you know, advantage to having a couple of snipers. Even if they don't get kills, they're getting the assists, because the sniper round will actually take you down to maybe half armor, and then at that point they're pretty much, you know, boned. Even heavy suits like that dude just there, he's now in trouble unless he's got logistics. He's actually now pretty much one-shot kill. And I think that's something to really bear in mind. So I think any good squad should probably have a couple of snipers, maybe one at least, who is really there just to kind of, I guess, do area denial, but also actually, you know, hit point reduction. I don't know what we can call that, but the reality is that it's not about actually getting the kills. It's about really, you know, okay, you do get kills like that guy, but the reality is that you actually are there to stop their guys having full hit points when you come into 1v1. And I think, I don't know, it's kind of an unusual concept really, because I've never really come across that before, but I think it's definitely worth sort of consideration, because as you can see with this assault round this base, by the snipers just pepping away and, you know, kind of pinking away at their hit points, you can see we're getting a significant amount more kills than they are. Even now we're pretty much, you know, 20 clones, 22 clones ahead of them. And I think this is because snipers are basically taking their advantage away by hitting them with 1 or 2 shots. And I think this is definitely something to consider. I'm sure a lot of you already know this and you're shouting noob at the screen, which is perfectly fine. And I think, you know, again, sniping videos are not for everybody. I like sniping and I hate sniping at the same time. I think there's nothing better than running and gunning. But the reality is that you kind of need an active squad. You know, I don't like just running and gunning with anyone. I find that when I run and gun, I'm generally doing it on my own, and that kind of sucks when I'm in a heavy suit. So I would much rather run with my squad. But again, just because this is a Sunday morning, it's just not possible. You know, you need to, you know, they've got to be all on at the same time, and that's particularly troublesome. But again, that's part of the game, really. And I think, you know, the squad play is actually pretty important. And come across a few squads today that really do have their shit together. I mean, seriously, you know, really, really pro guys, and they were just really good. They, you know, they were able to kind of run in with a buggy. Everybody jumped out. Everybody did what they had to do. A few people got killed. They then penned them, got them back up, and then they're away. And it was, you know, even though I was on the receiving end of that, it was actually it was actually quite a joy to receive that, because it really did show that this game has, I guess, hardcore tactical people who really do know what they're doing. And I just, you know, I enjoyed every minute of it. And even though I got run over like 20 times, I just still loved it, because again, I think there's part of the game is that there's got to be a niche for it. So, you know, if this is going to survive, it's got to be, you know, it's got to stand on its own 2 feet. And I think already from what the game can do is pretty impressive. I think vehicles maybe need a bit of a polish. Currently you just don't see many vehicles. I think eventually you'll see a tank appear, but and that guy, whoever you are, who was that? Whoever that dude is, don't stand still when you shoot, please, because it just makes it so painful. Anyway, and I think particularly with the vehicles, they do need some love, and I think at the moment they're not particularly great. I think the buggies are fine. I think the tanks are okay, but I just think maybe dropships need a bit of love. Even if it's just to make the map slightly bigger, so dropships actually would be cool. And maybe even have some NPC, pre-spawned dropships that your players can immediately get in and then actually move forward quickly to capture forward advanced stages. They don't even have to be armed, to be honest with you. It's just more a case of having something in the air that you can shoot down and so on. So, I think these are just kind of things that make the game a bit more, a bit more interesting in terms of the vehicles. I think a lot of the maps as well, they are pretty awesome actually. I think I'm curious to see how they're going to do this, because obviously not procedurally generated. That would be just amazing if they were, but I think it's going to be kind of curious to see how maybe they do that. So, got sniped, got hit with a forge gun, so that pretty much vaporized me. So, I'm going to respawn at E and try again. And to be honest with you, we're losing this badly, but look at the clone difference. We're pretty much, ahead of them quite a bit now. And when you get to this kind of position, you can still win by basically draining their clone reserve. So even if you've got one slither of a bar left on your MCC's hull, if you then drop them to 0 clones and then you kill the last person, you then still win. So, the game is still very much viable, even if you're losing like we are. So again, what I'm doing here is just relocating. So obviously I've been hit with a forge gun, so somebody's out there hitting me with a forge gun. It may have actually been a tank, now I think about it. It could have been a charged railgun with a very good shot, but I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see. So what I've done is I've just stuck here with the barrier in the way. As you can see, something's still hitting me pretty hard, so I don't know what that is. It sounds like a forge gun, but you never know, I guess. So as you can see, I'm just kind of hanging around, still getting the odd kill and that. So this is part of sniping, I'd say. And I think if you don't like sniping, maybe give it a go. I think it's not too bad, seriously. I think the game doesn't make it so that you can one-shot someone. It's not like DayZ with the 50 caliber rifles and that. It's pretty lenient, so everybody has a chance. If you're a skilled player and you get sniped, chances are you're going to evade the first shot. I don't know if there is a one-shot kill. I'm sure if you skilled up and had the top rifle, it probably is, which I'm not sure I agree with that, but anyway. Post in the comments if you think that that's actually a bad thing. I think you shouldn't necessarily have an easy one-shot kill. And if you do, then it should be phenomenally expensive and maybe use Aurum or something. So maybe we'll look at that. I'll do some look at the market on here, because again I kind of find it quite interesting just browsing the market, seeing the statistics of each of the guns as well. I mean, some of the suits and what they can do is also quite interesting. So it's been pretty interesting just going through the market and looking at each of the modules, what they do, the kind of where you'd use them as well. And I think the theory crafting has already begun on suits and such. So as you can imagine, it's getting it's getting quite interesting, to be honest. And I'm really kind of head dead set on this logistics 3 utility slot 1 for a sniper, only because I just think it'll be epic. And I'm sharing it with everybody because at the end of the day, I'm not looking to get any advantage whatsoever. Did that guy just throw a grenade? I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, I think really the premise here is that I'd rather have a good game and a challenging game than an easy game, because easy games mean you get bored quicker. So who wants to do that? And I really am putting my hopes on this game. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. I think particularly as well, we've looked at a few corp battles. We've been talking with a few people around. I know Josh has been talking with a few people around, doing Corp v Corp, so that sounds pretty cool. In my last video I said, obviously, if you want to do a Corp battle, let's maybe agree something. It'd be pretty good fun to do. Bear in mind, there's only a few of us, though. There's literally, probably, 10 of us, and even then getting everybody online is going to be impossible, so cut that in half. Maybe we could do 6. So if you're interested, let's do one. We could always film it and have a bit of a laugh. Also, I think just generally, I'm kind of curious with the mechanics as well. So I'm, kind of interested to see what the wager mechanics maybe are as well. For example, if you do a Corp v Corp battle, do you also then get ISK at the end of it? NPC fed ISK. I don't know. Be interesting to see. And I think really that's kind of the next level of what we'll start to experiment with. They have a tank. So that's probably what was shooting me all along. I think it sounded like a railgun more than a forge gun, let's say. So yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I spawned a tank earlier, in fact, and I can't remember if I included it in the last video, but it went pretty disastrously. But What's interesting is everybody runs away from a tank, but I mean literally runs the hell away. So if you're ever kind of looking to to capture a particular location, spawn a tank in. Plus, I must stress, you know, with the fact that you get like 150 to 250 to 300 K ISK per match, depending on how you do. To me, it just makes absolute logical sense that you buy a couple of the militia fit tanks. And I didn't realize this, but the militia tanks and the militia dropships are all fitted with modules that you can use with no skill points. So basically, for example, the militia dropship has rocket launchers and a shield booster. So it's a pretty viable dropship from the word go, and I think it costs 150k ISK per one. So if you play like 3 rounds in a row, you can buy 3 dropships, and then you've always got them if you ever need to use one. Yeah, oh man, that sucks. Fair play to that dude. He sneaked up and got me. Fair play. And I think that's beautiful. That's really cool. How are we doing? So 12 and 2. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. That's not a bad ratio. But anyway, as I was saying, I think with the tanks as well, what you should be looking to do is buy a range of tanks, the militia seeker tanks, or the other one, which the name escapes me. Because at the end of the day, they also are costing something like 150k ISK. So what I've been doing is, as I've been kind of running and gunning and getting the various ISK together, is buying the odd tank when I have spare. So I'm always fitting up my suits. I'm making sure I've got at least 30 suits pre-fit. One of the things I just mentioned with the suits as well, it's probably worth mentioning, and I'll maybe do a video on this, because when you restock, you buy every module, so be careful of that, because if you have one gun and then 20 modules, it will show 1. So if you then restock, it will buy 1 more gun and 1 more module, so you actually pay the same pretty much. So what I try and do is try and balance out your modules. So if you've got 20 guns, 20 drop pads, 20 grenades, 20 suits, whatever it may be, then if you keep it equal every time you restock, you're doing a proper restock. Otherwise, and again, there's probably issues with that, but otherwise what you're then doing is buying a whole range of stuff that maybe you don't need to. So be careful with that. And I guess it stems back to what I was telling you about Orium, or Aurum, whatever you want to call it. I think, this is why I kind of made the kind of call to just go and buy the blueprints, because I play a hell of a lot of this game, and I think, to be honest, if I'm just losing every time I die, if I'm losing like 20k ISK, that kind of sucks. So I think over time it's just going to really start hitting you. So I thought to myself, well, I got the mercenary pack, and you know what, I just thought, well, why not, And I thought it's probably a good thing. The thing is that a dropship? Oh man, that's funny. I think one of the things I kind of thought to myself was, I'm not going to I'm going to blow that up with a railgun. I wonder if I can use that railgun to blow that up. And one of the things I thought with the game is that, oh bollocks, who put that bloody container there? As I was saying, one of the things I think is you kind of have to decide how you want to play this game. I mean, I've gone all in for this game, so to me it's not too much of a problem kind of spending some real life ISK on it, real life money. But I know it's a tricky thing. I mean, the whole microtransaction thing was it was a very emotive point with Eve, but I have my own theory as to why that was. I think it was more kind of generated around real money trading, but that's an entirely other story that I'll maybe tell you another time. But I think really, this game is going to dominate and succeed by having microtransactions. So I think don't be too down on them, because they do help the game develop. So we lost, as always. And our poor MCC was blown to pieces. Now it'd be interesting to see if we can get blueprints in Eve to build these MCCs. That'd be pretty funny. But that was what I did it for, the precious ISK, the precious skill points. And how did I do? Well, 12 and 2. Well, not bad. It'll do. So I hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.